Hello, everyone, and welcome to 20 Facts You Might Not Know About How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Santa Claus is a famous Christmas figure. Do you know who is also up there in terms of fame? That would be the Grinch, although this grouchy green fellow is maybe a bit less cheerful than Kris Kringle. After all, the Grinch famously tried to steal Christmas. That story came to life in 1966. The television special, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Since then, it's become a favorite. Here are 20 not mean facts about this special. It's based on a Dr. Seuss book. There's a good chance you know that Dr. Seuss is the author of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. However, did you know that Seuss also got the screenplay credit on the special? Let's dive into how the story came into being. The Grinch first appeared in a poem in Red Book in 1955 called The Hubbub and the Grinch. In 1957, he decided to take the Grinch and put him in the center of his own book, which was based on Dr. Seuss' feelings, very Grinchy himself about Christmas at that time. An animation legend directed. The co-director and co-producer of How the Grinch Stole Christmas is none other than Chuck Jones. Jones is one of the legends of animation, having played a huge role in animating and directing Looney Tunes cartoons. Our conception of Bugs Bunny and others is pretty much owed to Jones's work. Jones and Seuss had worked together before. Jones and Ted Geisel, aka Dr. Seuss, first worked together during World War II. Then they collaborated on a private snuffle series of training cartoons. They were light-headed ways to try and teach and inform new soldiers. Geisel wasn't sure at first. When Jones first came to Dr. Seuss with the idea of turning How the Grinch Stole Christmas into a television special, the author was tentative. In 1953, he had written a screenplay for the movie The 5,000 Fingers of Dr. T. He hated the experience so much he never wrote another film. Eventually, Geisel signed on and was a producer on the special. A composer was brought on board. Geisel wrote all the lyrics to his songs in the musical adaptation of his book, but neither he nor Jones were capable of providing the music. That's where Albert Hug stepped in, a German immigrant who fled Nazi Germany as a kid. Hug worked on Broadway in addition to having a small acting career. He plays the psychiatrist in Space Jam, weirdly enough. An icon provided his voice. The narrator and the Grinch are both the same voice, and that voice is provided by none other than Boris Karloff. Karloff, to this day, the most famous portray of Frankenstein's monster, aka Frankenstein, if you are not feeling pedantic. This had made him a true legend of the silver screen. Oh, and he played the mummy as well. Karloff wasn't the only notable voice actor. Cindy Lou, who is voiced by June Foray, who was also the voice of Rocky the Flying Squirrel, and about a million other characters. Joan once quipped, June Foray is not the female Mel Blanc. Mel Blanc was the male June Foray. Max the dog was voiced by Dal McCannon, a voice cover artist with a career that spanned 50 years. Among his characters were Gummy and Pokey. Meanwhile, Thurse Ravenscroft provided the bass voice in You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch. He was also the original voice of Tony the Tiger. Not that you knew all that at the time. Koloff, as a big star, got credited for his work in this special. He was the only one, though. At the time, Foray, McKinnon, and Ravenscroft were all uncredited for their performance. CBS was riding high at the time. CBS was happy to sign off on banking and airing How the Grinch Stole Christmas. They had just struck it big in 1965 with A Charlie Brown Christmas. Wanting to make such it would land, Jones and Gazel were given a budget of $350,000. This was more than 4 times what Bill Meldays had gotten to direct A Charlie Brown Christmas. They got creative to keep the special unique. Jones didn't want to have any of the usual Christmas stuff in the special. That stemmed from the book, which issued not just the religious but also the Christmas trappings like Santa. The director got the idea to rely on what he called Seussian Latin, which is all the made-up language in the story. Jones surmised that real Latin was as indecipherable to many viewers as the fictional language. The original sponsor has been lost to time. These days, people watch things that are streaming, making advertisements something we see less and less. Even when we watch commercial TV, we are seeing different ads during breaks. Back in the day, though, TV shows would be sponsored by a single advertiser. When How the Grinch Stole Christmas first aired on December 18, 1966, it was sponsored by the Foundation for Full Service Banks. This was edited out of every broadcast after the first one, though. The special did introduce something about the Grinch. In the book, the Grinch is white. However, color television was still fresh and exciting in 1966, so they wanted a color special. As such, it's the TV special where the Grinch was first colored green, which has become canonical for the character. They had to pad the story a bit. Even though the special was only 25 minutes without commercials, Dr. Seuss' book wasn't exactly a robust tome. As such, much like a car chase in any episode of the Rockford Files, action scenes were used to stretch out the story. In particular, the Grinch and Mac's descent from up on Mount Crumpet down to Whoville was used to pad out the story. It was a staple for CBS for years. For a long time, you could count on CBS trotting out How the Grinch Stole Christmas for the holidays. They aired it around Christmas every single year through 1987. After that, it became airing on different channels such as TNT, TBS, the WB, and ABC. Currently, NBC owns the rights to air it. The numbers say it's a true classic. Currently, the television special has a perfect 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. On top of that, TV Guide ranked it as the best holiday special of all time. It won a Grammy. Odd things will win Grammys here and there. After all, the Grammys have categories like Best Children's Album. The winner in 1968, that would be Dr. Seuss' How the Grinch Stole Christmas, a recording of the special. The win was specifically given to Karloff. There are a couple unusual follow-ups. In 1977, the Grinch swapped holidays. He popped in the ABC special Halloween is Grinch Night, a prequel about the Grinch haunting the Who's on Halloween. Notably, it won an Emmy. Then in 1982, we got a colliding of worlds when we got the Grinch's The Cat in the Hat. This too won an Emmy. 2 feature-length movies have been made. In 2000, Ron Hayward directed a live-action version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas, with Jim Carrey in the lead role. It's a lot to wrap your head around once you get a glimpse of Carrey in his Grinch makeup. It may leave you shaken up for hours. Then in 2018, the Grinch returned to the animation world. This time, Benedict Cumberbatch voiced the Grinch. The later film was a massive success. The Grinch doesn't have a perfect score on Rotten Tomatoes. It actually has a 59% rating, but it does have one thing going for it. It made $5.8 million worldwide at the box office. This made it the highest grossing Christmas movie of all times. Yes, really. The big song is still a big hit. In a world where streaming and YouTube and a bunch of stuff we admittedly don't understand helps fuel the Billboard charts, old songs can pop up, especially holiday ones. This has benefited Ravencroft's and his song You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, in 2020. It showed up on the Billboard Hot 100 charts all the way up at number 32. Well, there you go, guys. 20 facts you might not know about how the Grinch stole Christmas. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you around the broom somewhere.